Knudsen.
Tursky.
This is Two Guys Talking Golf, and this episode is brought to you by Knudsen's birthday.
we paid big money to get on, that be the headline sponsor of this podcast.
It's tough to get that sponsor.
It's tough, and it's wildly expensive. It's crazy.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Today literally is your birthday. I guess by the time this is released, it will not be your birthday.
True. As my mom would say, though, technically my birthday's not until 11:58 p.m., so I'm technically not, as we're recording this, I'm about 3 hours and 20 minutes short. But, yes, it is actually my birthday when we're recording this, and it will not be tomorrow when you listen to this. I'll already be old.
Well, happy birthday.
Thank you.
How old did you turn?
I turned the ripe old age of 41. So.
Is that like an irrelevant birthday?
Oh, yeah. Totally is. I mean,
okay.
Realistically, people make a big deal about 40 because you're so old, but,
Right.
Yeah, so 41 is like nothing. I think really it's just age decade at that point. So now I pretty much don't, everything's irrelevant until 50, and then 60, and then, 70 if I make it.
Well, I just turned 32, February 27th, so our birthdays are pretty close.
Yeah, within a week.
One another. So I guess we're both celebrating our birthday, like on this podcast right now.
Yeah, this is the birthday show, and anybody else out there listening who's around this time, hey, happy birthday to you too.
We're all celebrating. I got one poured up. Do you have one poured up?
I don't. I just got home, put the little one to bed, and came downstairs and fired this up. So I did have a couple Budweisers, a couple Bud Heavies at dinner. Just went to.
Is that your go-to? Bud Heavy?
Yeah. It's kind of been my go-to for years now. Probably at least like 15 years, something like that. But let's be honest. I'll drink just about any beer. It's not a big. I'm not that picky.
Not a picky guy.
No, I'm not like really into the super like trendy, crazy hoppy IPA stuff that a lot of guys are into. Like this is not my jam. But for the most part, like you hand me a Labatt Blue, I'm gonna drink a Labatt Blue. Got no problem with that.
I have pretty much two go-to drinks, and that's like about it.
Yeah.
I'll either go. I guess we can say brand names. You already let it rip on the Budweiser, so that ship has sailed. I either go Tito's Lemonade, nice mixture up of little Tito's, little lemonade, or I go champagne these days.
Really? Wow.
Yeah,
pinky out, pinky out when you have a little flute.
That's what I'm saying. It's just an occasion, when you pop the champagne, it's an occasion, whether it's a birthday or a birthday podcast.
That's a good point.
So,
that's a good point. Do you have are you particular to one brand, or are you kind of open to them all? I'm not a champagne guy, so I don't know the difference between probably a $5 bottle of champagne and a $200 bottle of champagne. It's not going to make a difference to me. But are you particular to one brand, that's your favorite?
The credit card can tell the difference, but if you do like a blind taste test of bottom shelf Corbel versus top shelf Clico, I'm not really probably going to tell the difference. Plus, once after you take the first sip anyway, it doesn't really matter. So there's really no point wasting your money. I'm sure there's some alcohol connoisseurs right now just yelling at us through
for sure,
their earphones or speakers or wherever people listen to. I wonder where people listen to this. In their car?
Yeah, I think
headphones?
so. I think it's more the commute. I think whether it's a car, headphones on, whatever. But I think it's a lot of the commute or a lot of at work. Whatever work you do. I think there's a lot of that because I did notice the podcast.
We're getting screwed on listenership. Then.
Yeah,
because no one's commuting. Everyone's working from home these days.
That's true. That's a good point. I actually went into the office today for a little bit. So how about that?
What's it like in there?
Went into the office. It was pretty dead today. I'm not gonna lie. There was not a lot going on. There were very few people in there. I basically went in to take a few snapshots of a club, a very rare club, something that most
Can you
people
talk
haven't
about
seen
it?
Yet. Yeah. Embargo just lifted yesterday, I think.
Okay, so
and that would be
let's talk.
The CPG, the Club Pro guy, Camel Toe or whatever, XE747 punch-out club.
You say camel toe?
It's got camel toe technology. It's got camel toe technology.
Oh my God. What's it look like? Describe to the listeners what it looks like from a dress. How does it look? What's the deal?
It looks like a pyramid that somebody put a shaft into. So he built it as, this elite player punch-out club. And it has two sides, so you can hit it. It technically has three sides. It has three sides. You can hit it righty or lefty. It's got loft on both sides, and then on the toe is actually slanted down, so you could flip it and hit it off the toe if you wanted to. It's very loud.
So it's not legal.
No. And when you're just chipping a ball, you can tell that it's got some ting to it. And the sole is about 2.5 inches wide, and it has 0 bounce. So it is a digging machine. But
does he have an infomercial ready to go on this? Like,
oh yeah,
with all those alien wedges and. Okay, so he has an infomercial.
Yep. If you go on his any one of his social media accounts, he's already got the infomercial up, showing it off. It is a piece of work. It is an interesting piece of work. So a lot of sharp edges, very, very interesting. But I tell you what, if you're in the office and just chipping, with that 0 bounce, it just glides over the carpet. You can chip great with it.
I don't think I'm snitching, but I did meet him one time in real life, and he's just as funny as his persona. He's a really funny dude. Yeah.
I'm a big fan of his account, and what he's created. Just because, it's just the way he delivers his content, the way he talks and the way he says stuff, about making a good net 5, and just the delivery is just so spot on that even if you gave me the content he had, I couldn't deliver it that way. It wouldn't be as good.
I love his post 9-hole golf outing press conferences. He kills all those. It's so funny. And I love his shtick of I made 8 pars in a row back in '97 at the Tijuana Open. He's just got funny stuff. I don't know how he created that persona, but it's really, really good.
Yeah, it's very original, and it's stuff that whether you're deep into golf or not, you can totally get it. Nothing goes over your head really. Everything's just so like him. And yeah, the post round press conferences, I just wish there were more of them, because now there's only 6 or something like that a year. I wish there were a few more, but it's a solid account. I give whoever he is, whoever created it, I give him a lot of credit, because he's done a hell of a job with it. I'm a fan.
Yeah, I won't snitch on his name, because I'm not sure if he even puts that out there, but it's got to be tough to come up with all that content. That's the problem with having such a funny account. People are always like, I want more. It's he probably has another job. He can't just be cranking out this. Maybe not anymore, actually. He might be making some money on merch, obviously, making golf clubs and stuff. So go check that out. Did you post photos anywhere, on Insta?
I didn't yet. I took a bunch. I took a bunch of photos, just like we take photos for launch pieces. So all the angles of the club,
like the nice
with an actual camera. Yeah. So I think we're publishing it. I don't know. Maybe it's going up tomorrow, something like that. And I did a little video about it as well. So I think that'll go up maybe tomorrow. I'll check with our boys in editorial and see what's going on. But I think we'll have something on our. On whether social, front page, whatever, somewhere in the Golf WRX world, I think there's going to be some coverage of this unique piece of equipment. The swing weight on it is
golfwrx.com.
That's what I got to do. I got to go grab it. I want to put it on my swing weight scale, because I think the swing weight is crazy light. It might need some hefty
you should
lead
spec
tape.
it all the way out, length, lie angle, swing
it won't
weight.
Fit. I'm pretty sure it won't fit in the Loft and Lie machine. The sole's just way too wide.
That's so funny.
Great piece.
So, unfortunately, I was just on the sidelines this week. Did not travel to beautiful Orlando, Florida. Bay Hill, honestly, is one of my favorite golf courses to play. I feel like some of those guys are kind of down on the course. Like, it just seems like
Really?
something's always going on. They're kind of bitching and moaning about something out there. I don't know. Is that not the general consensus?
Yeah, I feel like it doesn't get the love that it should, and I think the hardcore is like I'm a huge fan just because I was a fan of Arnie. I know he's well before my time, but I was a fan of Arnie, and I think he was just a cool guy, and I kind of wish I would have been able to watch him really play, but I really like the tournament because of that, because it's like his tournament, and the umbrellas everywhere and everything like that. Everything pays homage to him, so I'm a huge fan of that. But yeah, in terms of like players, you never really hear, when players do a lot of the press conferences, at Augusta they're all, I love this course, da da da. You never get a lot of that. It doesn't seem like with this tournament.
And they got the rough up this year.
Yeah,
I know that
that's
for
what
sure.
That's what I've heard. And how about
I've played that
with
course with the what?
Oh, with the rough up, Adam Scott not playing driver this week because of it. He's playing
I was
like
getting to that.
Ah.
You don't think I got these transitions ready to go, Knudsen?
I'm sorry,
But we
Mike,
can. No, we can go with it. Let's go with it right now.
Let's go.
So Adam Scott, long-time driver user.
Yeah,
He's played a driver every round of his career. Big driver guy, always has been.
loves it. Loves the big stick.
So he's strategizing for this year at Bay Hill. Roughs up. He's not driving it too well this year. I mean, he's never been like a huge accuracy guy, but he's ranked 186 right now in driving accuracy, hitting only 52% of fairways.
Wow.
Yikes.
Yeah, that's
you
rough.
You can see his dilemma coming to Bay Hill. It's not really like a huge driver course. It's not like every par 4 you step up on, you're pulling driver no matter what. I mean, you're hitting a lot of irons, a lot of woods off the tees. Obviously, there's par 5s out there that you want to capitalize on reaching to. But so he's developing his strategy going into the week. He's like, no driver, no need. we're going driverless. I'm going to try to hit some fairways out here. So he takes driver out, leaves it in the locker. He throws in the TSI 2 13.5 degree 3-wood. It's really a 3-wood, but like technically it's a 2-wood.
And
if you're like buying a 13.5 degree online, like on retail, you're probably calling it a 3-wood, or the company's probably calling it a 3-wood. But loft wise, it's basically a 2-wood. And he was saying he's only given up 15 yards of distance with it compared to the driver. So I checked out the stats today after the round. He played with Rory. Rory pounds driver and tends to hit it pretty straight as well. I mean, that's one of the best drivers maybe ever right there. So kind of tough being your playing partner with this little no driver experiment. But so Rory was averaging 314 off the tee, and he hit, I think, 78% of the fairways. Adam Scott averaged 270 off the tee and hit 50% of the fairways. So, kind of a backfire. But I mean, Adam Scott played really well though. He shot 4 under. He's like T3, and Rory went crazy. He shot 7 under. So kind of is what it is there. But Adam Scott was talking after the round. He was like, the wind was like really low. Like there was no wind out there, so I didn't feel like I needed a driver. There were no like long par 4s into the wind, but he's like, I got to reassess. He's like, I got to rethink this going into round 2 because I think the wind's going to be up. And on a hole like 18, or even if a par 5's into the wind, he's like, you don't want to handicap yourself just by making this decision. But he was like, and this is kind of the ultimate dilemma for golfers in general who think about getting rid of the driver. He was like, you just got to really have that plan in place and like know why you're doing it, because when you miss the fairway with a 3-wood and then you have to punch out anyway to the same spot you would have when you hit driver, it's like obviously incredibly frustrating, and you're kicking yourself like, why did I lay up now? Why don't I have a driver in the bag? And And this isn't the first time we've seen a golfer decide to play without a driver. Like, Phil has done it on numerous different occasions. I think he did it for a U.S. Open. So people are like, Phil, what are you doing at a U.S. Open at Torrey Pines, 7,800 yards, no driver? And basically his response is like, dude, the rough's 14 inches long. Like, what do you want me to do? I got to keep it on the planet. But there's a transition right there. So now we're talking about two guys who are getting ripped on Twitter. Phil for obvious reasons. We're not getting into it this week. But also Adam Scott.
Yeah.
For his fashion choices, of all things, Adam Scott, who's been leading the tour in 20 years in fashion sense, he's just been wearing the same beige Uniqlo sweater for the last 14 rounds running. Like, what's he doing out there?
I wonder if it's like a lucky thing. You know, he's like superstitious and like, you know, I don't wash this because I'm playing well or whatever. But
he's not playing good enough to get that off.
No, I think you're right. I don't know. I mean,
he took a driver out of the bag. Okay, he's not playing like great.
But I think he's gone like this whole route of like kind of really earthy tones, whatever. Because I mean, we all remember the Adam Scott of yesterday when he was rocking heavy Burberry, and everybody was wanting Burberry polos and stuff on the golf course because it was just ridiculous. Those pants, like I wanted those pants so badly. You know, the Burberry plaid or whatever it was. I wanted those pants. They were so sweet. But I think he's just into this like phase of just wearing like earth tones because he hasn't worn anything bright other than like maybe white shoes in forever. Like maybe he's throwing on a red sweater every once in a while, but I think he's just in this like weird phase of wearing, you know, funky colors. Maybe it matches his rose gold Rolex really well. I don't know.
So I'm not like a fashion trendsetter, to be fair, and Adam Scott is. So who am I to criticize? But I feel like he hasn't transitioned too well into the modern era of clothing. Is that fair to say, or am I being too harsh on him? Because he's been wearing baggy pants like it's 2005 and a beige sweater that like Tiger would show up to Hoylake in and only hit irons off the tee.
I mean, you're 100% right. Like, he is never going to be like the Nike athlete wearing some Blade collar polo or anything like that.
No floral in the Scott kit.
Zero. He's never going to show up in Jordans. Like, you're never going to see him in a pair of like, you know, all black 11s with some like, you know, sweet tapered black Nike pants or Adidas pants. Like, it's just not going to happen with that guy.
No elephant print, no custom elephant print like Jordan 4s on Adam Scott.
If he did, I'd be blown away. No, I just don't think so. He's just not going to do that.
I'd have a heart attack.
He's going to show up in penny loafers. He's going to show up like penny loafers to the course, driving like an Aston Martin, and you know he's just not that guy. And you know, but I think that's his fashion sense. I think like he's got that kind of preppy rich kid look. And let's face it.
Oh, shots fired.
No, man. I mean, I was a preppy kid who wished he was rich back when I was, you know, a younger gent. And
now, you are wearing the beige tee right now. Is that
I am wearing the Adam Scott beige T-shirt. But, yeah.
Are you taking offense to me ripping on Adam Scott right now? I'm sorry. I didn't realize you were wearing the Adam Scott fit right now.
It just doesn't have the Uniqlo, like, logo on it or anything. But, yeah, I mean,
you should draw one on. Draw one on in red Sharpie, yeah.
But he's just like, I mean, he's wearing pleated pants. How many guys on tour can get away with wearing pleated pants? Not many. I mean, it's just him.
Not me.
So,
not me. That's not my look.
Here's the other thing, too, is like what happens over in like Europe is like way different than here, too. Like Europe is kind of like thought of as like the super high trendsetters. There were guys wearing like pants that were flood pants with no socks and like Echo shoes. I mean, so who knows? Maybe we're just behind the times. Maybe he's up on it.
They're 10 years ahead of us.
Yeah,
we're way behind.
Exactly. So maybe we're ripping him, and he's just secretly making fun of us because he knows that
the whole tour is going to be wearing beige in 2030.
Yeah,
it's just going to be all khaki.
2027. It's just going to be like you'll see like the layouts for each guy for like the majors, and it'll just be like different colors of beige for everybody.
Knudsen, are you secretly like a fashion reviewer? I feel like that earthy tone shout out, that was pretty good.
Was that good? Yeah, I was. I probably got that from Zoolander. I guess.
From Zulu.
Yeah, that's probably where I got
It sounded like you could write for GQ or something.
Hey, I got a secret. I don't dress well, but I know when other people don't dress well. That's what it is.
Well, you dress like Adam Scott, apparently.
It's true. I couldn't be further from the same build. Let's put it that way.
So this is not a fashion podcast, and it's also not a golf current events podcast. But let's get into some current events.
Why not?
The PIP.
Oh boy, really weird.
The player impact program. The results have been announced.
Yep.
And there's been a firestorm.
Yeah. Definitely interesting that Phil.
Well, let me just read the top 10 real quick, just for people that aren't super up on Twitter or what's going on. I'm just going to read the top 10 real quick and how much they got paid.
And for people who don't really follow,
Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
Can I go?
Well, no, I was going to say like in terms of PIP, it's the player impact program, and it basically hands out bonus money for guys who are very. What is it? There's kind of there's 3 different or 4 different things that they can qualify, and it's basically how big your impact is on tour, online, promoting yourself, the tour, and your sponsors. Is basically what it is. That's
I
very
think it relates
general.
to Google, social media, how many news articles there are about you.
Yeah. How many of you? Yep.
Yeah, there's 5 different categories of it. So it was announced officially, Tiger Woods wins $8 million. Really no shocker there. We can get into it more after.
Yeah.
Number 2, Phil Mickelson, $6 million. 3, Rory, 3.5. 4, Jordan, 3.5. 5, Bryson, 3.5. 6, JT, 3.5. 7, DJ, 3 mil. 8, Brooks Koepka, 3 mil. 9, John Rahm, 3 mil. 10, Bubba Watson, 3 mil. Initial thoughts. Let's get into it. If we're gonna do it, let me hear thoughts. Might as well do it.
I mean, here's the thing: is the Tiger win is because it's Tiger, and Tiger doesn't even have to play, and he gets more traffic than anyone. I mean, what's that? Yeah,
he didn't really play. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I mean, I understand what this is about, and personally, I don't agree. I mean, if you look at this list, it's just basically who are the top 10 popular guys on tour.
Yep.
It doesn't. I think the guys there were so many other lower level players in terms of popularity name that you saw more of on social media, had more creative posts, were interacting with fans, interacting with followers, doing the things that I think we thought this PIP program was going to reward, and really it turned into Tiger posted that one the social media post when he was I'm back right before the PNC, and everybody went insane, and that basically won him for him. And some other guys out there who are doing some pretty fun stuff, interesting stuff, whatever, they just don't have that following. I don't know. I think it's a little biased towards these big names, and they don't have to do much to get those views to win. Where a guy, say a Harry Higgs, who makes some cool, funny content, I think he's really funny, whatever, interacts with people, just as much work as he puts in, it doesn't matter because he will never get the views that Phil Mickelson will get on even a story about, hey, Phil Mickelson has a new driver. He'll never touch that.
See, this is just not what I thought the PIP was about. When it came out, I thought it was incentivizing guys like Max Homa, Harry Higgs, Ian Poulter, even Bubba Watson and Bryson the last year, and Brooks. I mean, I think all those guys have kind of been filling up their social media feeds and drawing engagement aside from just the normal, golf interview that you see in normal news articles. I thought it was incentivizing guys to be more active on social media, share more, bring them more into your personal lives.
Yep.
And I guess it was more about, let's get the top guys some more money. Really. I mean, that's what it seems like when you got Tiger and Phil 1 and 2. Now Phil obviously fills up his Twitter feed for better or worse these days, so that kind of makes sense. I guess that makes sense. But I mean, you look at a guy like Jordan Spieth. I mean, he's not tweeting. He's not doing anything, and he finished 4th. Rory, I think he's super engaging, like in terms of his interviews and things like that. But he's not like tweeting his thoughts. He's not really putting out like his own unique content the way a Max Homa is. I mean, Max Homa is literally like a content creator, and I just thought this was more about that, like incentivizing guys like that. And Ricky not being on the list is kind of weird too. No, like I know he's 500th in the world right now, but he's in every single commercial. you know, he's still one of the biggest draws out there. I mean, you go watch like a PGA Tour event live, you see a bunch of guys wearing all orange, or a bunch of kids wearing all orange.
Oh, yeah.
He's still like probably the biggest role model out there. So I don't know. I mean, they had a bunch of different categories. I think they did it in like a real way where they ranked it. I think there was a whole system where it was like 0 to 100, and they had like Nielsen rankings getting involved and all that. So it wasn't like they were just making it up, but it struck me as a little weird, the top 10.
I agree with you 100% because I think those guys who are really making, the Joel Damons, those guys, who are out there really.
Joel Damon, another one. Yep.
They really are like communicating with fans, responding, doing all that stuff. And listen, I'm not doing this to hate Tiger because I love Tiger, but do you think Tiger physically took his thumbs and tweeted anything last year? No,
But I will say, whoever's running his Twitter, oh my God, did you see that absolutely devastating tweet to Phil?
Yeah, I know. When it was like, whoops. Well, so that's another weird thing too. And again, I don't want to get into the Phil thing because it's just it's too muddy. But why would Phil tweet like, "Yo, I won," da 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 da, like almost congratulating himself, "I won this thing," and then all of a sudden it comes out that he didn't. Like, he had to have known something got crossed there. I mean, whether it was a miscommunication from the tour to his people to him or whatever, something happened there that he thought he won because that post was like, "Hey man, like I won this," and then Tiger comes in like, "Whoops." And again, you're right. Tiger didn't take his thumbs and tweet that and do it. He had somebody in his camp. But you're 100% right. Like I love Jordan Spieth. I really do. I really hope he gets back to the level he was at. But he doesn't tweet. Dustin never. Excuse me. Dustin never does anything in terms of social media interaction. Really, I mean, Bryson does. He does a lot of stuff. I get that. Bubba.
Yeah, he's got his own YouTube channel. You got to give it to Bryson. I mean, he's definitely kicked it into gear. And I thought like maybe he was in contention to win it. But
yeah, I mean, it's just like I said. I think they need to basically go through and revamp how they look at these things because I think there are so many players like you mentioned Poulter. I mean, Poulter's awesome on Twitter in terms of you may love him or hate him. That doesn't matter. He does a great job of doing a lot of stuff that just engages the followers and golfers, and also maybe does a little good for charities, whatever. I mean, he does all sorts of stuff. But I think they need to reevaluate and look at really how this money is handed out because, one, $8 million to Tiger, doesn't care. No big deal. But if you had $8 million to a guy like a Max Homa, that's like, kind of life-changing in a way for what, he makes on tour. Not to say that he's not well compensated, but I think you need to, the PGA Tour needs to take a step back for next year and really kind of look at how these things are evaluated because I just don't agree. I agree with some of these guys in the top 10, but definitely not all of them at all.
I'm hearing us talk right now, and I'm realizing that we're placing a little bit too much emphasis on Twitter. I think Instagram is really what we should be focused more on. Isn't there way more Instagram users? And a guy like Dustin, I mean, he'll tweet some stuff out like him and Paulina. I'm sure they get like crazy engagement.
Well, yeah, but it's
Twitter.
Paulina.
I feel like it's a little bit
like
more niche.
Putting it out.
Well, throw her on the
but it's
list.
like Paulina's putting out
Charlie
the
Wood
Instagram
should have been
post.
top 10 too.
True. Little John Daly, come on.
Serious. So that was the PIP section. We don't need to talk about that anymore. I mean, it's a bunch of guys who are well paid getting more money. I do wish like it was sprinkled among a guy like Max Homa or even a Pat Perez or Ian Poulter who kind of don't already get like the huge brand deals, but they're getting incentivized to be more active, pull fans in, use what they can from their fans, but not really what happened. So we'll see if there's any changes for next year. if there's not, I'm sure the same guys will be top 10 again. Especially if Tiger plays at some point, he's going to win it again. But
for sure.
Let's actually get into a couple gear topics. You know, at the end of the day,
right.
This is a golf equipment show. Let's start with this is a funny one. This is funny because I'll flash it back real quick. Quick little story. John Rahm's been playing that custom Odyssey White Hot OG Rossi for what's it been now? At least a year. He won the U.S. Open with it. He climbs to world number one with it.
Yeah, Miami too.
So he's starting to realize that, you know, he's not putting that great. He's burning edges. He's starting to get a little frustrated on the green. So ahead of Riviera, him and Joe Toulon start looking at some different heads. So they look at, you know, a couple different mallets. He's obviously in the Rossi mallet. He wants to stay in a mallet. And he has a number 7 back at home that's like kind of his backup that he practices with. You know, everyone knows the look of the number 7. It's got the fangs in the back. Classic shape.
Yep.
So they're working on it, and they start testing a White Hot OG number 7S. It's got like the little short slant neck like he has on the Rossi. And they realize, like, you know, due to the CG, it's a little bit lower, a little bit further pulled back on the number 7 compared to the Rossi, which is a little higher CG, a little closer to the face, that the number 7's helping him keep the putter low to the ground during his backstroke so it's not raising up too much. Because when it raised up too much, he was like, his release pattern was a little messed up. So keeping it low to the ground was allowing him to freely release the putter through impact. He makes the change after 3 rounds at Riviera. He only throws it in for the final round. Goes on to shoot 65. All's good. Loves the putter. He just came off a great round. So he keeps it in play this week at Bay Hill. And I'm not sure if everyone listening has seen it, but he missed a 10-inch putt today, and he left it 4 inches short.
Yeah.
he just yipped it. He almost whiffed with the new putter. So it's like, yes, he's putting better, and I'm sure he has great confidence, but I think he had a little mind slip up, and he forgot to, funny enough, he forgot to release the putter. He kind of just stopped right at the ball, and he missed a 10-inch putt. I think it was the shortest putt missed all season. The PGA Tour stats say 99.96% of putts on PGA Tour go in within a foot. He was in the .04, unfortunately.
Oh,
yeah,
that stings.
Yeah,
and I will say, between those 2 putters, like he had that Rossi, which is a classic design. I mean, Odyssey's been making one of those for forever. I am a big fan of the number 7, and I think a lot of it, you know, not even looking at the CG, because for my putting stroke, it just doesn't matter. But I think that number 7 for me frames up the ball way better than the Rossi. I mean, it really does. He's got those 2 lines. The fangs can also themselves kind of act as an alignment aid. And then the way that top line, which is really thick, you can kind of tell if that face is a little open or a little shut just from that. And personally, I love the number 7. I've used a bunch of them. I had a triple track 7S. I still have it in a bag over here somewhere. But it's one of those putters that I think is just a really good fit for a lot of people's eye. And regardless of this kind of the CG placement for us amateur players, I think it's a putter that's got great alignment, and you make a lot of putts with it. But we've all missed 10-inch putts. Let's be honest, we've all been there. And when our buddy doesn't let us, doesn't tell us to pick it up, we've unfortunately missed a few of those, and it hurts. It stings quite a bit.
Listen, if I'm playing golf with someone that doesn't give me a putt from 10 inches, that might be the last round I'm playing with them. Like, that's unacceptable. I get if you're playing, like, obviously competitive golf, that's a different world. If you're training for competitive golf or you're playing in a tournament, you're putting everything out, you're taking it super serious. If we're playing a 2-man best ball and, you know, we have a couple Tito's Lemons out there and the music's playing and you're making me putt a 10-inch putt, you're out. you're out. You're not getting the
just
invite
grinding over it.
I'm sorry. That's just where I'm at in my golf career right now. It's just
I'm
super
with you.
unnecessary.
Like, I'm all about that. It's and like I play in a golf league on Thursday nights with a bunch of guys, And it is so funny because some guys give you absolutely everything.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, pick that up. And you're even like, whoa, like this is like 6 feet.
Yeah,
like, yeah, pick it up.
I can't accept
okay?
this 5.5 foot birdie putt.
Yeah. Yeah, and that just breaks about 1.5 feet from right to left. Like, I just don't know if that's a putt you can give me. But then there's guys who will sit there and make you grind out over a 10-foot putt. I'm like, if you win this league, all you get is a really ugly bowling trophy that has been converted into a golf trophy, right? Like, we're not playing for a ton of money here. Like, you may have a little side action with, like, the guy you're playing against, but I'm pretty sure it ain't going to, the guy's still going to eat his dinner when he goes home that week. It's not going to break him.
The only time I'm making someone putt, like, something that short, and it has to be a little bit of a knee knocker. If it's just, like, straight in 9-inch putt, like, pick it up regardless.
Whatever.
But if there's, like, it's a foot and an inch, and it's breaking a little right, and a little downhill, I'm mostly giving you the putt. But, like, on 16, 17, when that match gets a little tight, and I've been giving you those putts all around, and then you go to just scoop it, because it's like, he's been giving to me all day. Why wouldn't he give me this one? And then I go over and I look above the ball to see, like, what the break looks like. Like, I'm actually putting it. And I'm like, I think you might be able to miss that one. I'm going to say it. That one's devastating match play tactic.
And the percentage make after that is like 0.
They're not making that
no
putt.
way.
That's a free hole for me.
You are blowing it by on the high side. Just blowing it by.
But I'll only do that on like
vicious.
16 or 17. On 18, I'm going to give it to you because, like, I don't want to win that way.
Well, yeah, that's true.
You want to keep it classy. But on hole 16, when it's like, I'm making a charge because I was just 4 down after 9, and it's like, I need this one to go all square. I want to see that putt. That's all. That's all.
I just want to take a look at it. I'm usually
you're
pretty
good.
generous.
I can vouch. I can vouch for that. I've played with you many times, and we're generous.
I'm a good I'm a good guy. And then, like you said, I just never play in matches where it's that important. Like you said, a little music, maybe a king of beer or two. You just got the king of beers, just polishing, your second one off. Hey, you know what? That 2-footer is good. I got you. Let's roll. So I'm a little more generous guy, but I'm a little more casual player.
Okay, so we're gonna make a hard transition right here. I didn't have a good one.
Oh boy,
sorry. We're just gonna go right. We're just gonna go right. We're going right into long irons. There's 3 different kind of unique stories here. We're talking basically split sets where, for the most part, a pro is going to use a compact, either blade or small cavity back iron throughout the set, and they'll go pitching wedge or 9-iron up to 5-iron pretty much. That's like standard cutoff.
Yep.
But a lot of guys these days, they're switching to something that has a little more forgiveness. It flights a little higher. They put like a graphite shaft in it. Might have a little bit more offset, be able to turn the ball a little bit more, slightly wider sole, just like more forgiving in general. So I'm talking to JJ Van Wiesenbeek. Wiesenbeck. Tough name to pronounce. Tough name to spell. Tough name to pronounce. Yes, I feel like in some way or another he comes up on every single podcast episode here. I'm talking to him about Willie Z because we're doing like a little deep dive on Willie Z for PGAtour.com. If you want to check out the deep dive, head over to PGAtour.com. The equipment report.
That's right.
So I'm talking to him about Willie Z, and he's just like, he's a ball striker. He's an absolute ball striker. And it's like, absolutely makes sense. He does hit the ball very well. So why does he have a T200 3-iron in the bag?
Dude.
It's like, for most amateurs, the top ball strikers in the world should be playing blades all the way through the bag. That's what they want to play, is blades through the bag. But he's playing this T200, which has become quite the popular iron among PGA Tour players.
Very popular.
Like a lot of guys that would never play something like this are now throwing it in the bag. But basically he was saying with like a small cavity back, even a T100, which is what he plays, he just struggles getting the ball like off the turf enough. Like, he just struggles with launch, and that brings in a whole set of issues, because if you catch it a little funky and then it's not flying, you're going to lose a bunch of distance. But if you can get something that launches up a little bit higher, then all of a sudden you have so many different shots. You could flight it up. You can attack. Now all of a sudden you can attack a pin that's tucked with a long iron. You can hit it off the tee. And then you can flight it low. He's already a low ball striker. Throw a little back in the stance. Hit it low. So the T200 kind of just opened up a bunch of things for Willie Z. And his tee to green and approach the green stats have jumped up big time as well. He's now leading. And I think this is maybe the third podcast in a row I'm bringing this up, but Rory McIlroy as well switched to a new P790 3-iron with the Ventus shaft in it for basically the same exact reasons. Looking to flight the ball up a little bit, get a little bit more forgiveness, a little more reliability, consistency. And another one. So I was talking to, I just want to make sure I get his name right, Will Yanagasawa, a ping fitter who was over in Japan for like 5 years. He now works for like the collegiate program with ping. So he's been the longtime fitter of Takumi Kanaya, who is currently 60th in the world right now. Official world ranking 60. So he's playing in Bay Hill this week. We got photos of his setup. Pretty cool little setup, actually. Obviously, he's kind of like a stuck-in-his-ways type guy. He's still playing the G410 driver, G410 fairway, G410 hybrid. But his iron setup, I thought, was particularly interesting. He has 2 5-irons in the bag.
Okay.
One 5-iron is an I-210, which matches like the rest of his set. I think he plays pitching wedge to 5, or maybe 9-iron to 5. And then he has a G710 5-iron.
Oh, yeah.
And so basically I'm talking to Will, who's been fitting his clubs forever, and he was just like, he's a low ball hitter. He wants to get the ball up. But what's interesting about Takumi is he doesn't look at loft. He doesn't look at like the numbers on the clubs. He doesn't care. He literally just looks at the carry numbers, which I think is a great way to gap out your bag. Like, a lot of people will just buy 3-through pitching wedge, and that's just what they use. And they buy it off the shelf, and it's like the 3-iron and 4-iron might go 4 yards difference. It's like you're using up space in your bag for no reason. And he has 2 5-irons, and that just works out gapping-wise because the design of the irons is so much different. Like, the G710 is designed with more ball speed. It has a faster, thinner face. It has more forgiveness. It'll get the ball up in the air, and it'll get you more distance. So I thought that was just particularly interesting, that a lot of these guys now just at the top end of their iron set are going with not ultra forgiving, but more forgiving iron options, and a lot of them are equipping them with graphite shafts now. I know Rory was talking about someone at the PGA Tour asked him post-round today kind of why did he switch and why is he going with the graphite shaft, and he's just like, it's more tip stiff. Like, I have more control at impact with the longer club, whereas steel, it's kind of flipping and going left on me. He's like, graphite is just so strong and tip stiff these days. It's like, it's really a weapon for us. So if you're in the market for golf clubs, I implore you to try something more forgiving, even at a 5-iron. 5-iron, 4-iron, 3-iron. I know me and you had talked about this, maybe one other podcast, but that's what I'm doing. I got a T200 4-iron in the bag now, and I never thought I would do that. I was always a small cavity back 3-iron player, and it's like, yeah, but you got to be realistic with yourself. That's what the pros are doing, and it's like people want to look to the pros for kind of advice, and there's no better advice than that. It's like, play something a little bit more forgiving that's going to actually help your game.
Yeah, I agree, and to be honest, the T200 and the as Titleist calls it, like the utility build, is been all over the tour. I mean, there's so many guys who have like the 3-4 irons in the bag for that T200, and they're rocking some type of graphite shaft. And I'm with you. Like right now in my bag, my 4-iron is the new Mizuno Fly High with a Fujikura Pro 95 in it. You know, it's just a mid-high launch shaft. You know, head's a little bigger. It's got a little more ball speed. I mean, even when I slap it off the toe, get a little steep, slap it off the toe, it still's got a good amount of distance. I mean, it just lets you get away with some shots at a normal 4-iron. I mean, even the P790, which is what I'm playing right now, like the 4-iron there is still multi-piece or whatever, but fly's just a little bit bigger, a little more soul. You know, just there's more to it. And you're right. I mean, you know, for these guys too, even a guy like Rory who hits it sky high already, to gain a little more control while still being able to throw that ball up in the air and get it to land in tight spots on really firm greens. You know, as much as us amateurs, we're not playing that game, we're still, like, you know, most guys don't hit a 4 or 5 iron very high, and getting it to stop on a green is a tough chore. So if you're adding something, like you said, that's a little more forgiving, easier to get that ball up in the air, maybe easier to turn over, you know, you're only going to be able to maybe have a better distance control and get it to stop on that green closer to the pin. So it's definitely worth trying, and combo sets are becoming a big thing because of that. And, you know, we're seeing more and more companies coming out and saying, hey, here's how to set up a combo set with our irons, and showing you kind of where you can kind of blend stuff and all that. It's just, I think it is a vital thing where, you know, to a lot of players who it would benefit.
Yeah, they're making it really easy these days, and I just thought the topic was particularly interesting because you look at, you know, those 3 names that we just reeled off, Zalatoris, Rory, and Takumi. I mean, you're talking about 3 guys on opposite ends of the ball striking distance and launch perspective. Like, just 3 completely different golfers, and they're all putting basically similar clubs at the top end of their iron set in the bag, all for the same exact reason. So,
yeah.
I don't know how much more proof anyone needs than that. We'll try not to bring up the topic again next week because I feel like we have talked about it before. But I do want to give a special shout out.
It's an every week thing.
Yeah. Special shout out to Takumi's putter. So he still has a Ping Sigma 2 Arna in the bag. But this is interesting because I guess he got it as an amateur. And it was a Japan-only release, Sigma 2. Like, it has a unique little hosel on there. I don't know if you saw the photo of it.
Yep.
But, yeah, he said his fitter was like, yeah, we got him in that putter. He was like, I can't even remember how many years ago it was, but it's still in the bag, and he's still rocking it. He was like, I saw him as a 19-year-old almost win, as a 19-year-old amateur, almost win the Japan Open using that putter. And he's like, it's good to see it's still in the bag at Bay Hill this week. So I feel like he's someone to look out for. You know, he went to college with Hideki. They went to the same college. Yeah.
But
whatever that college is, that's,
like, not at the same time though.
No, not at the same time. They weren't like teammates. He's no. I think he's younger. He's younger.
Yeah.
Wait, how old is Hideki?
I was like, wait a minute. I want to say he's like early 30s now. He might be like right around your age, like 31, 32.
Hold on.
But if that's
we have
college
Google.
is just
we might as well
out
fact
players.
check on the spot.
Why not just get roasted 30, on Twitter or something later?
Yeah, he's 30. He's 30 exactly. And let me just look up Takumi real quick. Yes, we're doing our pre-production research live on it.
During show. That's just the way we roll. It's the way we've always rolled. That's just the way we've done it.
Yeah, Takumi's 23. So unless Hideki was on like the 9-year graduation program, I don't think they were in college at the same time. But pretty funny there. And I was talking to that ping fitter, and he was saying what's funny about that college is it like gets cold during the winter. It's not like a year-round play golf year-round type college. It's not like, you know, the U.S. equivalent would be something in, you know, like the Northeast. And you just don't see a lot of PGA Tour pros coming out of colleges in the Northeast. But it's funny that, you know, 2 of like the best Japanese players went to college where you don't play year-round. It wasn't going to like a Southern school equivalent. I thought that was pretty unique. Something a little different. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is, because you're right. I mean, when you look at PGA Tour, I mean, there's a lot of colleges that are represented, but when you start like really breaking it down, and I love the tournaments that they put up, like the little logos for each, you know, guy of where he went to school and stuff, and majority of it's down south. I mean, there's just but majority of it's down south, just because, like you said, your ability to practice and play and not having to basically just hit in a net for, however long, and being able to actually go out and play and all that, it's a huge advantage. So, yeah, definitely interesting that two PGA Tour caliber players, one who's a recent Masters champion, both came out of a school that they were probably pounding balls into a net, for at least a couple months out of the year, which isn't, an advantage to them.
Yeah, I mean, I guess with launch monitors these days, you can get a lot of great work done indoors, to be fair.
But it's not the same.
And no, it's not the same. It's not the same because you're not hitting off grass. I always think kind of hitting off mats is a little bit worthless. It's like I always stripe it when I'm hitting off mats. I just do. It's like you got that little extra forgiveness of, okay, if I hit like quarter of an inch behind it, the club's probably going to bounce off the turf, and we're going to stripe it.
Yep. And especially with the short game, like that's the real killer, is like hitting wedges. Wedge shots off a mat are brutal. I mean, you just can't get a feel for how like the wedge bounce interacts with the turf and how that club really plays. And as much as you can sit there and hit different shots, the club's not going to react the same when you actually get out into the turf. So, I even feel like, okay, you could kind of fudge the irons, driver, woods, whatever, that's fine. But the wedge game is where it's impossible to replicate without actually hitting it off the turf. So to keep those guys' wedge game sharp and doing it indoors or however they did it is pretty spectacular.
All right, so let's do a what's in the bag breakdown to end this episode.
Okay,
we got a good one.
Okay,
we got a good one.
Okay,
Sergio Garcia.
Yeah.
I feel like he's one.
Yeah,
everyone's always interested in. We haven't been able to snag him in 2022. Finally got him at Bay Hill. So obviously he is back with Taylormade. Full bag of Taylormade. I think everyone was kind of wondering, is he going to go with the new Stealth? Like, he seems like one of those guys that would be like, nah, I'm sticking with my old stuff, man. Like, leave me alone.
I agree. I get to see
he does.
that.
He has the new Stealth in the bag. He's got the Stealth Plus driver. And what's interesting to me about his setup here is that he actually has the weight all the way in the draw position. I feel like you so rarely see that with pros. Now, if there's one guy to do it, I guess it would be Sergio, because throughout his career, I do feel like he's kind of played that little bleeder cut. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Plays that low bullet little cut.
Exactly right.
Some guys,
which is like the drive I've wanted to hit throughout my career so bad. I'm so jealous that Sergio can just hit that. But either way, go ahead. Sorry.
No. And some guys say though, like there is some theories out there that the sliding weight, instead of moving it to like the draw bias position, like to hit a draw, or moving it to fade to hit a fade, that moving it closer to where you impact the ball increases some ball speed. So
really happy you brought that up, because it is true.
Yeah, and if he's a guy who hits a cut and maybe his miss is kind of like a little low heel, hits that cut, moving that weight down, could increase that ball speed when he hits it off the heel a little bit and lets him get away with a little miss. So there is that theory behind it, and I don't know if it's done.
I'm sure
here,
he's not.
That is.
I'm sure he's not worried about missing left too often. I'm not sure he's ever missed left with the driver in his whole life. So he's like, might as well throw it in the draw position, get some added CG, like a little extra pop behind where I'm actually hitting the ball.
Yep.
So he's got the Ventus Black in there, 7X. He does still have the Super Stroke grips. I'm kind of just scrolling through Greg's photos right now. He's got the Stealth Plus 3-wood. 7X black as well. Then he has a 5-wood. He's always been a 5-wood guy, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I think he's always
so.
had.
I don't think he's ever been
he was kind of
like
ahead of the curve, I believe. I'd have to go look back at his 2014 type what's in the bags to confirm, but I think he's always had a fairway wood in there, high lofted fairway wood in there. I'm sorry.
And interesting about all the woods is that he has higher lofted options that are all opened up to like the driver's a 10.5 playing at 8. The 3-wood is a 15 degree turned down to 13. and the 5 wood, same thing. It's a 19 turned down to 17. So everything, he must like that thing wide open, or the way he delivers that club in, it must just help him square it up. But everything probably sits 2 degrees open when you set it down.
Can you explain that for people who may not know exactly what you're talking about? Just like a quick tutorial on what turning it down means and what lowering loft actually does to look and performance.
So almost every club head that's adjustable. When you have a set loft on there in the standard position, so it's here's 10.5. Well, if you want to go lower in loft, basically what happens is the club head is going to sit a little more open. So when you set it down, the top line, instead of being perfectly straight, is going to look like it's clocked back just a touch. And the more loft you take off, the more open, as they call it, or that the face looking like it goes to the right more, it's going to look more open. And basically the theory behind is that as you square that club up, it closes the face and reduces the loft. So a lot of players who, like myself, who I hit a lot of stuff left, I hit a lot of draws, I like looking at club faces that look open. A lot of guys will go to a higher lofted club, turn it down to get that look that they like, while still maintaining the loft they need. But it's done a lot on tour and a lot with better amateurs and stuff like that as well.
So common on tour. I don't know what the percentage is, but I would say at least 25% of guys have something that's higher lofted and turned down, so you kind of get the loft you want with the open look. Very common.
Yeah, and the exact opposite. If you add a little loft, you take that 10.5, you make it 11.5, typically the face will look a little shut, and that'll the top line will look like it points left a little bit. So it's the exact opposite when you raise it.
Which I think is a nice trick for, kind of the slow swing speed amateur golfer who struggles with a slice and hitting it too low, need a little extra height. Like, get the 10.5, crank it up. Maybe you'll turn the ball over a little bit more, and you'll hit it higher. So I think that's the opposite should be true for the amateur who's fixing the slice compared to the pro
100%.
who's trying to guard against a draw. Okay, so let's move down through Sergio's bag a little bit. He's playing the P730s. I wish so bad it said Serge Protos on there. You know what I'm saying?
I'm kind of shocked that he...
I love that Proto series where it
doesn't.
says their names. I know. And he's got some NS
because...
Pro Modus 3 shafts on there, Tor 130X. Sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
Yep. No, I was going to say that it was interesting. I was reading in the forum when the photos were put in there. A bunch of guys, like, you can't, the 730s discontinued. It was replaced by the P7MB. And a lot of guys put in there like, oh, Sergio can still get a set of P730s where us mortals can't, which, yes, that is true. If Sergio wants a set of 730s, he's going to get them, and he doesn't have to play the 7MB. But it was very interesting that a lot of guys in the forums were very fond of the 730 and wish they could still get that as well.
People like the 730s. It's just that clean look.
Hard to hit.
Yeah, not for me.
Really hard to hit. No.
And I'm not saying they're not hard to hit for me. I'm saying they're not for me. Like, they're too unforgiving. I need a little something back there. I need some help.
They're pretty
especially
brutal
these days. So going down through, he's got middle grind 3, 52, and 58. I think he's one of the rare guys that holds on to that wedge combo. Like, he doesn't go 52, 56, 60. He's just 52, 58, which makes sense because his short game's brilliant. I'm not talking about necessarily.
It is really good.
Chipping and pitching the ball. I think Sergio's always been top tier. It's the Spaniards, man.
Yeah.
They got the hands around the greens.
And I mean, low bounce kind of on both. Even though the 52 says standard bounce, I think there's a standard bounce 12 degree as well in that 52 because I think I have it. But low bounce, I mean, those things are just going to be precision tools. But the mill grind 3s are really good. I mean, we've gotten to hit them, out at Bandon and all that. I actually might be putting the 52, bend to 51, and the 56 in my bag this year. Maybe gamers. I just threw some different shafts in them the other day. So put some Nippon Modus 125 wedge shafts in there. So pretty excited to give those a whirl. But they might be the gamers for a little bit, at least starting out the year. A
little teaser into the nuts and what's in the bag. I like it. A little peek behind the curtains.
It's nowhere near set. miles away. But I just reshafted them up, excited to go hit them and see how they perform. So we'll see.
But I will say, if I tried to chip with Sergio's wedges, especially on like Bermuda, I would be slicing so deep into the turf. There's not enough bounce on there. Come on, not for a lay person. I would be laying the sod
that 58, dude. That 58, I would be just digging ditches with. You could tell like if you were playing behind me. You're like, exactly. That thing is gnarly. That thing's going nowhere near my bag.
So he also has the Taylormade Spider GT, red, the red crown. That looks pretty cool. It definitely pops.
Yep.
I'm sure Taylormade wants these guys to play the red because it just pops and it's so unique, like on TV. It's just immediately recognizable. I still haven't putted with one, honestly. I haven't tried it yet, but I could see you loving the Spider GT because it kind of has that number 7 look with the wings, and then it combines with that like spider filled in type crown.
Yeah, no, I definitely like it. I would, I got to roll one launch event. I got to roll one both indoors and at the Kingdom, and it is actually really good. It's really stable. Now his is a little custom. He's got the plumber's neck on there, which you can't get at retail right now. It's just the slant neck or kind of a single bend shaft. But you're right. I really do like the shape. I like the fang look to it. I think it frames the ball well. He does have a different insert in his than retail. So, I mean, of course, he's a pro. He gets what he wants. But he's got the plumber's neck hosel, and then he's also got a Pure Roll insert, which I think the new one comes with like Pure Roll 2, which has like the aluminum bars on top of the polyurethane or the rubber. So it is slightly different, but yeah, a good looking putter. It really is. I definitely want to get some time with one of those out on the course.
So that'll do it for this episode. I mean, what do you think? Is that a good place to wrap up? I just wanted to ask real quick. I was going to tell this story at the top of the show. I'll tell it at the bottom of the show for anyone who's made it this far. It'll be a little present. Have you played Bay Hill before?
I have not.
Okay, so I've played.
I have not.
I've played it 3 times now. I've been lucky enough to play it 3 times. It is a private course. If you happen to know someone, you can get out there. I've been lucky enough. I mean, it's an awesome course. I always love it there. It's just like you just feel Arnold Palmer's presence. It's just cool, and I love the layout. So I've played it 3 times. 3 times I've gone into the 18th hole looking to break 80, and I'm there. I think I was like 7 over, 6 over, and 7 over, like somewhere in there. But each time, I think par on 18 gets me the break 80. I think that's always like the goal for when you're playing like a championship course. You're playing the tips. Let's just break 80. You know, we don't have to set the course record. We don't have to break par. Let's put a 7 as the first number. So 3 different times coming into 18, ready to break 80, feeling great. 3 times failed to break 80. That 18th hole is diabolical, and each time it was in a different way. First time I duck hooked one OB. I don't think people realize how close that OB is, because you don't really want to go right, because then it's like you're in the rough, then you're in the trees.
Yeah,
you got to punch out. It's like, all right, we're definitely making bogey if we blow away right. So I tried to hug the left, duck hooked at OB. Nothing good's coming from there. I think I made like an 8 the first time. I might not have even broken 90 on that one. The second time, I was like, all right, I'm not going anywhere near this OB. I'm blowing it right. We'll chip it back out. So I chipped it back out in the fairway. The pin is like front left, where it's really narrow. And I'm like, all right, I know we can't go in this bunker, but we definitely can't go in the water. So like, let's play a nice little like, baby draw. I think I had a 56-degree wedge in. I'm like, let's just take a baby draw, finish like 5 feet left of the flag, let's get out of here. Overcook it into the bunker. I leave it in the bunker. Then I hit one out. No. I thought it was like a good shot. Rolls into the water. I think I also made like a 7 or an 8. And then the the third time, I stripe one down the fairway. Like I bomb it. I'm not quite at the water's edge, but I got like 162 probably wind with me, pins back right, and I'm feeling good. Like I'm jacked up. The weather's good. I got the wind behind me, and I'm like, I'm going flag hunting, boy. Like, let's go. I'm about to stuff this. Like, these last 2 times are out of my head. Like, I'm good. I'm breaking 80, and not only am I doing it, I'm going to step away with a bird. You know, we're going to do it the right way. So I'm like, well, should I hit the 9? Like, 162 plus what to that back pin? I'm like, whatever. We're going with the pitching wedge. It feels right.
Oh, no.
And I nut this thing. Like, I hit it dead perfect. I think in the air, I have the video on my Instagram. I think in the air, I'm like, you know, be good. Like, be like as good as you look.
Oh, boy.
It is right at the stick, and I'm like, just be the number. Like, one time. Hits the rocks. Ricochets back in the water. And in the video, you can see just the life just come out of me when the ball hits the water. And I just knew in that moment, like, it was over for me. We're not breaking 80 this time either. And I didn't. I think the second one I pull 9-iron, and I still, like, I know I already hit the shot, and I nutted it, and I hit the rocks, but I still, like, kind of backed off the 9, and I tugged it. Ended up making, I don't know, 1, 2 in, 3 out, 4, 5. I think I made 7. I think I made 7 again. So I played it 3 times. It was like 8, 7, 8. I mean, this hole has my number back. But that hole's really hard.
Brutal.
I mean, I guarantee you watch throughout the weekend. Whoever's watching throughout the weekend, you're going to see some big numbers out there, and you're going to see some guys crumble, and you're going to be like, "Why are they crumbling?" Like, the hole is really freaking hard. So good luck out there, guys. And Adam Scott's not even going to have a driver in the bag for it. So maybe that's what I should have done. Well, I should have just hit like 7-iron off the tee. 7-iron, 8-iron, pitching wedge to the center of the green. Man, I should have done that instead.
2-putt. Yeah, 2-putt, walk away. You would have been all right. That's
all right.
That's a brutal story. That stings.
We're ending this episode on a bad note. Let's raise the spirits here to end it off. Knudsen, happy birthday. Happy to be back doing Thank you guys talking golf with you. I hope you drink a couple Bud Heavies, maybe one more to celebrate this podcast being over. If you want to see more of our written content, head over to golfwx.com or on pgatour.com, the equipment report. As always, thank you for tuning in to Two Guys Talking Golf, also known as TG2. Look out for merch. It will be on the way soon. Knudsen has some sick designs, by the way. I saw those. We'll talk off air.
Oh, did you see the latest one?
Yeah. So we'll cook up a release. We'll probably do some giveaways and put stuff on sale. So look out for that, and we'll see you next week.